They haven't started. Good morning to you all. I welcome you all to today's session, and in line with good practice, we will invite our religious leaders to lead us in prayers. Imam C, you have the floor.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Bishop Odiko.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Gracious and eternal God, whose nature is to have mercy and to forgive and to deal justly with all your creation throughout the whole world. We do ask that you look kindly upon us in this land, this nation, the Gambia, and particularly on the TRRC, and also on the witnesses that are coming here to testify, that by Holy Spirit's power, that you will uphold each and every one of them to be able to be bold enough to speak the truth. And the Lord, you will assist the Commission to be able to discern truth from falsehood. And help us, Lord, that as we bring about healing and reconciliation, that this nation, the Gambia, will continue to be a nation that will be smiling at all times. This we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop. Council, are you ready to start?
Yes, Madam Chair, we're ready to start. Good morning to you all. Mr. Osa, kindly bring in the witness, please. Mr. Osha, kindly swear in the witness, please.
I, Demanjai.
I, Demanjai.
Swear that I will speak the truth.
Swear that I will speak the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning to you all. Mr. Njai, welcome to the TRRC. Thank you for agreeing to come to testify before the Commission. We understand that you are bereaved a close family member passed this morning. In spite of that, you agreed to come and testify, and we promised that we would do our utmost to ensure that you finish early so that you would have the opportunity to go and pay your last respects to your lost one your loved one who departed. Mr. Njai, kindly turn on your microphone using the green button at the bottom half of the equipment. Also, please draw it close to you so that it can pick everything you have to say. You may also leave it on during the duration of your testimony. This morning, I propose to deal with a few topics with you. We know that the position you have held, or the various positions you have held in the past, are such that you would have a lot to say that would be of interest to the Commission. But some of the topics are topics we would have to deal with in the future. So we propose that we would call you a few more times. Today you will talk about a few things, and later during the course of the Commission's work, we would call you again to come and appear and talk about other topics.
Okay.
For today, we would want you to introduce yourself to the nation, who you are, what your biography, and so forth, the positions you have held in the Gambia Gendarmerie and the Gambia National Army, the work you have done at State House, the events of July 22nd, 1994, your return to service, your position as Chief of Staff, what you did, the November 11 incident, and we would want to know also a bit about Usman Korosise, and then we leave it at that for today.
Okay.
And we would call you again at another time to discuss other topics, including the April 10-11 student massacre. Are we together?
We are together.
And when you respond, please speak into the microphone. Perhaps you should draw it closer to you so that you could sit in a relaxed posture and be able to talk directly into the microphone. What is your full name, sir?
My name is Dembanjai.
Where were you born?
At Kaur, CRR.
What's your date of birth?
On the 8th of March, 1958.
Mr. Njai, we take it a bit slowly.
Okay.
We allow for about 3 seconds between our speeches, such that there won't be any overlap, because that can create a difficulty for the interpreters.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. So you were born in Kaur, CRR, in March 1958. Where did you do your schooling?
I did my primary schooling in Kaur in 1966 to 1972.
High school?
I attended Gambia High School from 1972 to 1980. That's from 1 to upper 6, lower 6 and upper 6, O and A levels.
What did you do after your A levels?
Just after my A levels, I worked briefly with the Central Statistics Department as a statistician clerk.
For how long did you do that work?
A couple of months.
And what did you do after that?
Then I was offered a scholarship. To go to Dakar University to pursue an undergraduate degree in French.
When did you finish that program?
I came back in 1985.
Did you complete your studies?
I got my diploma in French education, diplôme d'études françaises. Then there was a time one Mr. Blaise Diagne, who was the counselor at the embassy in Dakar, informed us that the gendarmerie would need Gambian officers who had French background. As it was manned by Senegalese, we would need Gambians who had French background to be able to take over from them whenever they leave. That there were opportunities for people like us. It was then that I came and applied to join the National Gendarmerie.
Which year were you enlisted?
1st of August 1986, I was enlisted.
For how long did your training last? Do you remember?
We had it for about 1.5 years because our badge was one of the unique badges in the gendarmerie. We had a very vigorous training, competent, and we used to call us the crack unit, some sort of rapid intervention force. In case anything happens, we would be called upon to move on immediately. We were trained with very, very vigorously.
The crack unit, as in C-R-A-C-K.
C-R-A-C-K.
And after your training, what rank did you attain?
Then in the gendarmerie, when you come out from the training school, immediately you are given a first-class rank.
Which is, how do you call first-class rank?
Lance Corporal.
Did your career advance thereafter?
Yes. It was after then that I was promoted to a cadet officer in 1988 and sent to École Nationale des Officiers d'Actifs. This was the military academy in Senegal, in Thiès, where, as of now, about 17 African countries pursue officers' military training there.
Did you go alone?
I went with 2 others. One would be Usman Badji, who was once Minister of Interior and also Ambassador in France. The other one is Alassane Kouyaté, who rose to the rank of being Director of Finance at the police after the amalgamation of the gendarmerie to the police, and right now is in Darfur on a UN mission on the police mission, French-speaking country.
And after that training, what rank did you attain?
The training lasted for 2 years. It's from 1988 to 1990, and at the passing out ceremony, that's where you are decorated with a 2nd lieutenant rank.
So you came back to Gambia as 2nd lieutenant?
Correct.
In the meantime, there were other cadet officers in Gambia, in the gendarmerie. Do you know what happened to those people?
Yes. In fact, most of those cadet officers, almost all of them, were decorated before us as cadet officers. But what happened, it was a selection something for anybody who has background in French, whom they saw would make the course, because all other countries' students were French-speaking countries. We are the only one coming from English-speaking countries. Therefore, there was a selection. And the 3 of us succeeded to go, but whilst we were there, some of them were decorated as 2nd lieutenants in our absence.
Can you give us an example?
One would be Yaya Jammeh, the former head of state then, Yaya Jammeh.
Did he pursue any officers' training as at this time?
Only the one he had at the gendarmerie training school.
So he did not do any basic officer training prior to him being decorated 2nd lieutenant?
Never.
How did people like you feel about that?
It was unjust. Because I think promotion should be based on competence. And to rise to the rank of officer, you need definitely basic officer training course. Because you learn a lot, the behavior, especially the attitude of an officer, you should have before being decorated as an officer. The competence and everything.
And after your return to Gambia, where were you posted?
I started at the Gendarmerie Training School as a training instructor.
For how long?
For a couple of months. Then there was a course to be done, counter-revolutionary warfare, with the British Army Army training, but at Yundum, where I was selected to go and do it with a platoon from the Gambia National Gendarmerie.
When did you finish that program? Do you recall?
That also took some months, and I had to come back to Fajara Barracks, then now to occupy the position of adjutant at the office of the commandant.
Your training for officer lasted 2 years.
2 years.
What would you say to the suggestion that gendarmeries were not very well trained?
It was not all gendarmes. I can say that there is no army officer in the whole Gambian armed forces who train better than 3 of us. I can talk of my training, not others' training, but I know what we encountered, what we endured. We did all necessary infantry training for 2 years. No other Gambian officer had ever done a 2-year course in basic officer training, which comprised of urban fighting, bush training, parachuting, and commando training, and all sorts.
By July 1994, Usman Baji would go on to become commander of the commando unit at the Gendarmerie. Is that correct?
Yes, in fact, the time I was moving to State House, that's the time he was going to Turkey to pursue a course in commando training.
Okay, that was just a little side point, but let's go back to the main issue. Upon completion of the training you had at Yundum Barracks, organized by BAT, you went back to the Gendarmerie to become adjutant, correct?
That's right.
And what happened to your career after that?
Then I moved to State House to become third in command.
Of what?
Of the Presidential Guard.
Who were the 2 superiors you had at the time?
There was Captain Trojaune and the Lieutenant Kaba Bajo.
Who was the commander?
Captain Trojaune was the commander.
I assume followed by Bajo.
Bajo, that's right.
And you followed after Bajo.
Right.
And what was your job at this time at the State House?
There, basically, I had a month or 2 there. Then when I was sent again to Nigeria for the VIP protection course in Lagos, as being commandant of the close protection unit, that's the bodyguards.
Do you recall with whom you did that course?
We were about 7 to 9. One would be, there was myself, there was Captain Trojaune, There was the late Daba Marena. There was a sharp one called Jay Sow, who is now in the U.S., who went rose to the rank to deputy director of NIA and deputy IG. There was Per Mendy and some others.
Do you recall which year this training occurred?
This was in 1992.
In 1992, did you have occasion to accompany President Jara to any important political function in Mansa Konko?
In 1992, I didn't go.
Do you recall?
I didn't go to Mansa Konko. I was then holding the fort, that is the State House, whilst he was there with the commanding officers.
What occasion was this?
This would have been the PPP Congress.
What happened there? Can you tell us?
It was there that the President Sadauda Jawara decided to step down after his term of office, not to run for other term.
And do you recall whether he managed to maintain that decision?
No, he didn't finally. I was not there on the ground, but I heard cabinet ministers and all followers at the PPP then started saying he would not, they need him, we need him, we don't have somebody else to replace him. He remained adamant, and when he came back, because there were instructions that he would not receive any delegation that would want to come to meet him to talk about that.
As a result of Jawara's decision to step aside, did that evoke any rumors?
I can remember that day he was supposed to come back to Banjul. And then what happened is it got late, and I believe I received rumors that the convoy would have been ambushed on the way from Mansa Konko to Banjul. And there was advice that they spend the night in Mansa Konko to come the following day. I could recall Lady Chilwell calling me upstairs to her room and asking why the buyer is not around up to now. And not to mention that thing, I told her, Mama, it's already late and we will not allow the president to travel by road at this time of the night to come to Banjul. We prefer that he comes the following morning. And that's what happened.
What was the ambush going to be in connection with?
Well, there was rumors of a coup d'etat. That's the first time I had rumors of a coup d'etat.
And did the pa, as you called him, spend the night in Mansa Konko that evening?
He did.
Did he leave the next day?
He came back the following day.
There was no attempt, was there?
There wasn't.
During this period, were rumors of coup prevalent?
The other one I heard of again was that of the July 22nd.
You did not hear any other one during that period?
I can't remember hearing any other one.
Can you tell us what happened, important things that happened after this Mansa Konko incident? Let me rephrase the question to help you. Mm-hmm. What, if anything, happened to you after this incident, personally?
To me?
Yes. You were involved in a car accident in 1992.
In
weren't you?
1992, yes, that's right. May 7th, 1992. While driving from State House to where I was staying in Canifing, I came across a truck that came from Bakau at Sting Corner. Whilst I was having 5 school children in my car, giving them lift, the ride. I couldn't escape the truck. I hit the truck. And on that fateful day, even Kababajo was just driving behind me. We close together. They were the ones who rushed me, took me out of the car, with some help of some fire service as I had, because I was off, and rushed to RVTH, where I had a fracture in the femur, right femur.
You remained sick for how long?
Almost a year inactive.
Do you recall when you returned back to service?
I went back to service in 1993.
That year, did you have occasion to accompany Sir Dawda up the provinces?
Yes, I did. When I meet the people's tour.
Did anything significant happen during that tour?
Yes. I can remember we had an incident. One Sergeant Boy Pulo, who was the driver of the bodyguards, he used to pick me at home every morning that time, even to go to office at Canifing. On a meeting at in CRR, I can't remember which village it was down. That time we had no holsters for our pistols, so we used to put it inside our trousers like this. His pistol slid down, and it was in front of a big crowd meeting, and he tried to get it from down the trouser. I learned after that he believed people were saying that he wanted to assassinate the president because he was taking out his pistol, and which was an accident. It was not intentional. The pistol just slipped down, and he was trying to get it down.
Essentially, you're suggesting that his pistol, which was tucked in his trousers between the hip and the pants, is slipped down, and he had to pick it up from the bottom of the trousers, right?
That's right.
And that gave rise to suggestions or suspicions that he wanted to use that pistol to kill the president.
Right.
What happened after that?
As those who were close to him, because I was an officer, I was not very close to him, but his fellow mates, NCOs, said those 2 days he was definitely isolating himself and looked very, 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 very disturbed.
What happened after that?
On the day, there was a special day that Commander Press Jan was coming to meet us at Sapo to see how we are, maybe our welfare and how everything was going on. And as soon as he stepped into the camp where we were, then Boy Pulo was in his car. It was a Pajero, this blue Pajero that we used to use for the convoy. We just had noise, and when we rushed to the car, was already dead. He put the muzzle of the gun, the AK-47, and blew his head off.
Do you have an idea why he did that?
I would call it fear, because Boypolo was very, very disciplined, a very nice guy, and would not have the mind of doing what people think he wanted to do. As people interpreted that he wanted to kill the president, that would not in him, was not in him, and that guilt and fear made him finish his life, but nothing else.
What do you say to the suggestion that he was very close to Yahya Jammeh and may have been a possible Jammeh hand recruited to kill the president?
I don't believe in that.
I'm not just saying, I'm not suggesting that that is evidence before us. I just want to put out that theory and ask your opinion about it.
He would not have been an agent for Yahya Jammeh.
In view of time, we fast forward to 1994. In July 1994, where were you?
I was in the UK with President Jawara.
What happened?
Before we went to Tunisia for the OAU summit then, and he had to take his leave after yearly vacation to the UK, and we were with him there.
Do you recall when you returned to Gambia?
Yes, we came back to Gambia on the 24th, but before that, I felt sick, very sick, because after my accident and being inactive for about a year, just 2-3 months after going back to office, we traveled to the UK. There I felt sick, very sick, and it was discovered that I had diabetes. And I was admitted in, I can remember, Princess Royal Hospital in Haywards Heath, there, Sussex. Then we were supposed to come back to the Gambia on the 21st. But before that, I can remember we used to hear of rumors of a coup d'etat in the Gambia. And I can remember at times there was a telephone booth not far from the residence where we are staying. We'd go and call Gambia, and even without even these rumors, we used to call the man on the ground at State House, who was Lantombong, to ask of the situation in the Gambia and at the State House in particular. He was telling us at times that there were rumors of a coup d'etat. Then in between, I was sick and was in bed, admitted on the 21st, when the delegation was to come back to the Gambia, the president. I asked the medical staff to release me to continue my treatment in the Gambia, because I didn't want to stay behind. That they accorded me. Then around between 11-12 in the morning, I was released. I went to the residence, packed up, and joined the convoy to the airport to come back to the Gambia.
Did you personally speak to Lang Tombong at any stage during this period about these rumors that were going on?
Yes, because I was there. I used to be there with Kaba Bajo and Captain Gassama, who was the ADC. 3 of us used to go to that booth and call and ask about situations in the Gambia. And there was time he said there were rumors of a coup d'etat. but no names were mentioned that I ever had.
And tell us what happened when you arrived in Gambia on 21 July 1994?
Yes, we arrived about 1800 hours in the evening. And when we descended, I, who was not feeling very well, moved directly to the convoy vehicles. But before I reached the vehicle, I saw Yaya Jammeh standing. I told him, as I used to mock him, Jola, you are very ugly, Jola boy. And he would tell me, boy, you are weak, what happened? I told him, I was sick, I just came out of hospital this morning.
Can you translate what you just said in Wolof?
I go, you Jola, but you are always ugly. And he laughed and said, boy, what's wrong with you? You look weak. I told him I was sick.
He didn't say, you say, rare boy, you are even uglier?
He didn't say it.
So you went to the vehicle, to the convoy. But did you notice anything untoward during that reception ceremony?
No, because usually the vehicles are parked after the line of the VIPs. You know, I may not see the soldiers when I joined and immediately I came off the aircraft, I went straight to the vehicles, and I was covered from what was going to be with the line of the VIPs, those who came to welcome the president. So I will not see anything peculiar.
You didn't notice anything abnormal?
I didn't notice anything abnormal.
And from the airport, what happened thereafter?
From the airport, we drove straight to State House with the convoy.
Did you spend the night at State House?
No. Usually when we reach, an orderly will be responsible for bringing our suitcases and everything from the airport. We wait for him when he comes, pick our luggages, and go home.
And did anything happen that night when you went home?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Did you receive any visitors that night?
That night, no.
Did you receive any briefing that night?
No briefing.
How about the early hours of the morning?
Well, the early hours of the morning, that was about 8, 9, that I heard of movement of soldiers from Langtombong Tamba, whom I talked to over the phone.
What did he say to you?
That there were a movement of soldiers that they had.
Towards which direction?
Banjul.
What time did you receive this information?
It would be after 8, 9.
And what happened after that?
After a while, I was worried. I begged for a call from, then there was no mobile phones, from my landlady, from their phone to call to State House and find out what was going on. I called the office of the bodyguards where I asked for Lantombong and talked to him. What's going on? I think that's when he told me the PA is escorted to the frigate. That's the American boat that was docked here.
You did not go to State House that day, did you?
I didn't, because, as I said, I left hospital the day before and was sick and didn't intend to go to office.
Did you speak to any of the staff at State House afterwards?
No other person.
Did you talk to Lang Tombong again?
When I tried again to call State House, then lines were cut. I couldn't go through.
And did you see any of your colleagues at State House that day?
Late in the afternoon, Lang Tombong came to my house at Kanifing, escorted with some soldiers. And he came in. I said, boy, how is the situation? He said, everything is ready now. I said, what do you mean? He said, the soldiers have taken over. I said, who? He said, Yaja Maitland.
Did he say anything about his position?
That he was automatically moved to Fajara Barracks to command there.
What is your view regarding how the takeover happened? Or rather the performance of the TSG and the state guards?
Well, definitely, to me, it was very cheap. It was very, very easy. In military, being in a defensive position is far more advantageous than being in the offensive. Especially somebody who knows, we know then the State House. We have been there for years, months or years. We know all strategic locations. We know everything inside. We should know how to protect it, how to prevent anybody from coming in forcefully. Therefore, if it can happen without any resistance, as I heard after, that the duty of the guards was to save the president. For me, it was not only saving the president. It was saving a whole country, the constitution, and everything that it entails. Then if the power goes to is shifted to the frigate, his life was saved, yes, and his family, but that shouldn't be the end of it. Well, there were people saying that, because we know each other and it was a small country, we don't need to fight and kill each other as far as the power is safe. As I said before, it's not only saving the president, it was saving a whole country and the constitution and all that it entails. And we were in a far better position to kick out those soldiers coming in, because anybody facing you from the market end, you are taking your good position at the State House. It needed one rapid automatic AK-47 per 2 or 3 will fall, and the rest will disappear. There may be fighting, but even with fighting, we were in a more advantageous position. You have the quadrangle where you can monitor everything from State House to the post office, to Albion School and everything. If you don't want anybody to come in, I don't think somebody can come in.
Were there any weapons at State House?
We had AK-47s. Those that I know of. And it could have repelled the soldiers who were facing directly the State House.
You think AK-47s would have been enough to prevent or to repel an attack?
We could have held them at least for 1 hour or 2. And I am sure if fighting had started for 1 hour or more, the Americans would come down. And the units at Yundum Barracks and others at Fajara Barracks who thought that they've already lost could have regained confidence and joined and support the state guards to fight the situation.
So your view is that those at State House, they gave up or they gave in too easily?
That's my belief.
Why do you think that happened? Why do you think they gave up too easily without putting up any resistance?
Well, because of I think the reason given was that the bar is already safe, and the interest was to save, the most important thing was to save the bar, his life, and that we are all Gambians knowing each other, we shouldn't fight each other, which I don't buy.
Did you worked at the State House? Did you see an interest amongst the state's guards to see or to help the coup to succeed?
No, I don't think there was any interest from anybody to see that the coup succeeds.
What do you say to the suggestion that Yahya Jammeh had insiders in State House who assisted to make the coup succeed?
Later, I knew of someone who was an insider. They used to call him Musa Jammeh. He's late now, or Malia Mungo. He was very close to Yahya Jammeh. And after it was confirmed that he was an insider. Whether there were others, I'm not sure.
After July 22nd, you were sick. Did you report to work any time during those days?
The coup was on a Friday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I went to State House.
Tell us what happened when you got there.
I went to State House. I was standing in front of the guard room when Yahya Jammeh, Edward Singate, Sana Sabali, Yankuba Toure were coming from the house, the residence where the president used to stay. Down the stairs, walked up to near the guard room, and he saw me and said, "Hey boy, you're Warren Alafefeka. If I had found you here, I would have blown off your head." I was asking, where is the money before we blow the building? You know who I am. I told him, you cannot do anything to me, you know who I am.
And
we cracked jokes. Then he told me, let's go upstairs.
And that was Yahya Jammeh, right?
That was Yahya Jammeh. We were very, very, this cerebral thing with him. Very close. Yeah.
At this stage, he was already chairman of the AFPRC, right?
He was.
You said you had this relationship with him. Mm-hmm. Apart from before the events of 1994 and so forth, did he get himself involved in any trouble that you were aware of?
Jammeh was a troublemaker. I can remember then I was an adjutant at the Fajara barracks. Usually by 1 o'clock we had this break, and officers would go to the officers' mess for lunch. Being the adjutant, I would not leave the camp empty, because the mess was at the other side where the economic forces are now, that story building. So I had to wait in the camp until some of them would come in, and I would then go for my lunch. And one day, whilst I was in the office, they reported to me that one driver by the name Tamsir, I can't remember the surname, was arrested by Bakau police station. I said, okay. Then I left for Bakau police station. I introduced myself as Lieutenant Dembanjai, adjutant at the Fajara barracks. I learned that one of our elements is here. They told me yes. I said, well, I'm sorry, you cannot arrest, a police officer cannot detain a gendarme officer. Let him write a statement, or you take statement from him, then I go with him. And when you're ready with him, when we reach there, you bring your report and we take the necessary actions. Then I went back to Fajara barracks with him and reported to the command of what I did. Then, closing hours, I left for home at Kanifing, where I was staying. I can remember that night, I was newly married and my wife was to be brought to me. Even. Then the following morning when I went to walk at the Fajara barracks, I found Yajami standing at the main gate. He told me, boy, they must go to attack na Bakau police station on Maxima Boise. We dealt seriously. We attacked Bakau police station with my boys. And I seriously beat the guys who were there. I said, boy, that's serious. Why that? You know, his usual sagande, you know, insulting. I said, okay. I moved to my office. Then sometime after the report came, and that incident, I nearly lost my job because they beat seriously the SO, who happened to be now the paramount chief, something Bojan. He's now the paramount chief. Yeah. He was seriously beaten with some other police officers. But because I went in the afternoon and introduced myself as Lieutenant Dembanjai, adjutant, and coming to pick the boy, when they were asked who attacked there, they said Dembanjai came at night. Lieutenant Dembanjai came at night and attacked the station.
They didn't know it was Yaya Jammeh.
They didn't know. He's very smart. He told me they off the lights first before attacking. He's very smart. So no one was recognized.
Did Yaya Jammeh know that you were being accused for that crime?
He did very well. He knew. Because during the, there was a panel set for this, for the investigation as to who did that. Then there was a day when this identification parade was organized. I was mad with the command at the Fajara barracks then. I did late Modou Njai, that's the younger brother to Colonel Ndao Njai, and President and others. I told them, what you're doing is not right. I went there on broad daylight, introduced myself as Dembanjai. Now you doing an identification parade. They could remember the face and point me out that I was the very one who did it. And I could lose my job for that. It would have been worse than even losing my job, because I was going to be taken to court and anything can happen.
You did not tell them it was Yaya Jammeh?
Well, after the identification parade, nobody could identify me or anybody amongst us. The panel continued. The late Keba Sise, who was Director General NSS then, I went to the extent of holding a Quran, swearing that it was Yaya Jammeh, because he told me. And I don't think any individual, he pleaded to me to confess. I said, any individual, would I me, my wife being brought to me that night, I will leave there and go and fight somewhere else? That doesn't even sound logic. It's not me. Yaya Jammeh told me at the main gate the following morning that he did it.
Was Yaya Jammeh called in for questioning?
Not to my knowledge. Up to today, not to my knowledge.
You said Yaya Jammeh was a troublemaker. Do you know what other trouble he was involved in during that period?
Indisciplinary attitude towards officers, senior officers, the command at the gendarmerie then. He would stand anywhere and say anything in front of the guard room, in front of the commander's office. Many times. Everybody knew Yaya Jammeh didn't have that discipline. Another trouble that he did, I can remember we went on a Meet the People's tour with Sadauda Jawara. Then even I was a recruit. We were at the training school then. We went to a nightclub.
In which town?
In Basse.
What happened there?
There in my presence, he knocked somebody on the nose and damaged the face.
Was he in trouble for that?
Yes, the report came, and he knew it was him who did it. Then before that, there was a cadet examination exams conducted for them, and they were to be promoted as cadet officers. His was delayed for 6 months, his promotion, for that action he did.
So you knew Yaya Jammeh before. Mm-hmm. You knew he had problems with discipline. Mm-hmm. He had problems with respect for authority and so forth. Mm-hmm. How did you feel when you saw him that day at State House as chairman of the AFPRC and head of state of the Republic of the Gambia?
Well, it was a big question mark, because definitely I had to mind as to how he was going on to carry out the affairs of the country. He was to change 360 degrees to be able to do things right.
Did he change for the better?
He tried to, because I can remember even when he was chairman and I joined in, sometimes because I had been always with him, to tell the truth, always with him, even when I close after work.
We will come to that. We will come to that relationship. But okay, what I'm trying to drive at is, at this stage, when you went to State House, you saw Yaya Jammeh for the first time as chairman of the AFPRC. Mm-hmm. He was doing the Jola Serer joke with you. Did you believe that this person would be able to deliver on the promise he made to the Gambian people?
No.
Speak into the microphone, please.
I didn't think he would be able to produce. I didn't think. Because of the attitude that I knew in him, and his age, and his inexperience, lack of many things, it would have been very difficult to produce.
Okay. Fast forward a bit. You were later called to come back to work at State House, correct?
That's right.
What position were you offered?
It was after Captain Kambi was, I think, arrested and detained, that I came in as Chief of Staff, Office of the President.
Office of the Chairman?
Office of the Chairman.
And Head of State?
And Head of State.
That was a very important position, wasn't it?
It was.
And you knew all that much about Yaya Jammeh. Indisciplined, have no regard for authority, could not possibly deliver anything for the Gambians in view of his age, inexperience, and indiscipline. Yet you chose to work with him. Why?
I think with a good team, we may be able to change him. And I think then I will not involve myself into anything that would go against the interests of the country.
So you were chief of staff.
That's right.
What were your main responsibilities at this time?
The staff around him, that's a household, the close staff of the presidency. I also was looking over also at time on the security matters and advising him, because before that I was at the State House for 3 years at least. I was older than him. I did, as I said, first my officer training. I knew what the better attitude for an individual, and knew I could convince or discourage at times because of the relationship between me and him in doing certain things that I was aware of.
So by November 1994, you were close to Yahya Jammeh, correct?
Yes.
You were often with him, correct?
Correct.
In fact, tell us how you used to spend your day during that time while you were working as chief of staff. Just give us a rundown of your typical day at State House.
Well, when I go to work in the morning, I'd go to my office. Then when he is escorted to his office,
What time would you normally arrive at work?
to 8. By 8, I was at my office. And when he joins his office, or goes to his office, I'd go in. If there's anything to brief on him, for anything to brief him to, I will. If he has anything to ask me to do, he would. Then my normal jobs, most of the time, complaints will be coming to me from the society, from the other departments, which I may refer to him. What could be done will be done. What will be pushed after would be. And when I close work, usually as I reach home, sometime in the evening he will call me.
What time would you typically close work?
It would be after 6 sometimes, 7. Then he would call me. Then I'll go back to State House. I would be with him up to sometime after 1 at night, 1 at night. Then I would drive back home.
And be back at State House at 8 the next day?
At 8.
So almost you spend barely, say, 2 hours at home during daylight, and then you go back to State House, and then would get back to your house, say around 1 or 2 a.m., go back to State House at 6 a.m. That would be the periods you would normally spend at State House, right? Or at home?
In fact, at times, there were situations where it took a very long time to talk to my kids. The only time I would have time to talk to my children is when I am driving to Banjul, taking him to school at JC5 Memorial. Because before I reach home, few minutes, I would be called back to State House. I am there. Before I come there, in bed. The only time I had with my kids then were usually by the time I'm driving to office and going, taking them to school.
So, having spent that much time with Yahya Jammeh on a daily basis, you certainly would be privy to a lot of the conversations he engaged in during that period, correct?
Correct?
Do you remember where you were on 10 November 1994?
10th November 1994, yes, I was at the State House.
How about the evening? When did you close work that day?
As usual, I closed late, but that day I had the other junta members from Sana Savali, Edward Singate, Sadi Buhaidara, and Yankubo Ture went to Yundum Barracks to have a meeting with the soldiers.
What was that meeting to be about?
Discouraging them from any attempt of trying to go against the AFPRC government.
To put it clearly, to discourage them from staging a coup d'etat, correct?
Correct.
And yes, what happened after that? Those guys went to Yundum Barracks. What happened after that?
Yeah, they must have come back. They came back. What they discussed that day when they came back with the president, with Jammeh, I didn't know, because I was not there. I went home.
Did you hear anything else later that evening?
At night, that night of the 11th, that's the early hours of the 11th, around 1 a.m., 1 going to 2, I was staying with my sister then at mile 7, my younger sister, Ndenjai, who knocked at my door and said, "I'm hearing gunshots." But for me, I didn't hold it serious. I just thought he may have heard some noise, or it's just gunshot somewhere around Bakau and finished. Then I stayed in bed. For a while, she knocked again and told me this is getting serious. But before I could get up, a call came to my house line.
From who?
From State House, Khalifa Bajinka, late Captain Bajinka.
What did he say to you?
"Sir, something is happening at the State House." I said, "What?" Told me a coup d'etat. I said, "Coup d'etat?" He said, "Yes, there is fighting going on."
Did he say where the fighting was going on?
He told me there is fighting going on around Fajara Barracks. That I should go, let me go and go to State House. I told him, no, that's not the way for me to go to State House. At this hour there is fighting. Any trained officer will not just go out. You don't know the position of the enemy and friendly forces. Send me some men. They come and pick me while I prepare, put on uniform.
Were you sent officers to come pick you up?
Yes, he sent me some men who came and picked me.
Do you recall what time that was?
That should be around 3 o'clock at night.
And what did you do after they arrived?
I boarded the vehicle, joined them to State House.
What happened there?
There I found Chairman Jammeh in a very, very confused situation, moving in and out, walking through the sitting room, going down the stairs, and even situation, he said, "Leave me, I'm going to fight, let me go and fight, let me go and fight." And people trying to calm me, "Sir, don't worry, there are people to take care of the situation."
While you were there, did you know what was going on at Fajara Barracks and Yundum Barracks?
Not exactly, Except that there were, as they say, the gunshots they told me that they had at the Fajara barracks, but at Yundum, I didn't know anything that was going on there.
Did he have any telephone conversations with anybody during that time?
Yes, around 6 o'clock in the morning, at the sitting room upstairs, there was a telephone conversation between him and, I presume, the juntas.
When you say the juntas, who are you referring to?
The council members, that's from Sana Sabali, Edward Singate, Sadibu Haidara, and Yankuba Ture.
Why do you think that it was them Yaya Jammeh was talking to in that telephone conversation?
I didn't hear what was happening from the other end, but he listened for a while after some time, and I heard something he said.
Who said?
Yaya Jammeh said.
What did he say?
Kill them all, the ringleaders. That I will never forget.
How did you feel when you heard that?
Excuse me, yes. The first time I ever had instructions to kill, I had him say, kill them all, the ringleaders.
At this stage, what was going on in your mind?
That some men were captured by the juntas whom I already named, and that they were going to kill them.
What happened after that? By the way, before that, let's just try to establish clearly what you heard. How close were you to Yaya Jammeh when he said this?
In the sitting room upstairs, there is a sofa, 3-seater sofa. Then you have on the left 2-seater one, and the other side 2-seater one. He was using the 3-seater one. I was at the other one there with some men, the other soldiers, bodyguards, and so on.
You heard him clearly?
I heard him clearly. There is not just less than a meter between me and him.
In which language did he speak?
He said, kill them all, the ringleaders. That's English.
Those were his exact words.
His exact words, quote unquote, kill them all, the ringleaders.
And you said this was around what time?
Around 6 a.m.
Did you see any members of the junta afterwards?
Yes, it was later in the day, around 10:11, that they came into State House.
What did you see them do when they arrived?
Well, looking like people coming from war, coming from winning a battle, brandishing their arms, and moving with Yaya Jammeh came down moving from the main yard of the State House there, going in up and down, as victorious.
Jubilant mood.
Jubilant mood.
How about Yahya Jammeh himself?
Likewise himself.
How did you feel when you saw the soldiers behaving in this manner, especially having heard what Yahya Jammeh said earlier?
I regretted being a soldier because they were claimed to be soldiers of a difference. And anything leading to killing and being proud of it, especially your fellow Gambians, because I knew in that case it was not protecting the national integrity, territorial integrity of the country. It was against finishing, your fellow countrymen. I felt ashamed. I felt very, very worried.
When they arrived, did you hear them say anything?
No, I cannot pick up anything they said.
No discussions were held that you know of?
They may hold discussions themselves alone. But downstairs where they were at the yard, escorted by their bodyguards and and everybody, there I don't think they will talk of anything pertaining to what may have happened in the morning.
Now tell us, who do you recall seeing there at that stage? Members of the junta you saw there at that stage?
All of them, Yahya Jammeh, Sana Sabali, Sadibu Haidara, Edward Singate, Yankuba Ture. Some people like, not non-members of the junta, Peter Singate, Musa Jammeh late, Alma Mumane. Yeah, I can remember such people. And the escorts of the junta members. I knew their faces, but I am forgetting their names now.
And do you know whether any announcements were made that day about what happened?
Sana Sabali made an announcement, I can remember.
Do you recall what he said?
Few of it, if I may saying there were some elements who wanted to overthrow the government, and there was some fighting, and unfortunately some lost their lives.
From what you heard at State House, was this announcement true?
No, because what I believe is the time they were calling, there was no fighting. There were arrests and so on and so forth. And instructions were given by Yahya Jammeh to kill them all, especially the ringleaders.
For how long did you remain at State House that day?
The whole day.
Just a moment. At this stage, Sana Sabali was the vice chairman of the AFPRC, correct?
Right.
Can you tell us a bit about the power dynamics within the AFPRC at this stage? The rankings and the power dynamics.
Yahya Jammeh was the chairman and head of the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council. Then you have Senator Savali as the deputy chairman. You have Sadibu Haidara as number 3 and Minister of Interior. You have Edward Singate as number 4 and the Minister of Defense, if I may fully recall. Then you have Yankuba Toure, number 5, and Minister for Local Government.
What was the relationships like within the members of the council?
They seemed at the beginning united, because usually almost every day, at some point in the day, they would all converge at the chairman's office. In fact, at the chairman's office then, where he sits, that was his seat, then in front of him there were 4 other seats for the 4 council members. And when they came, they sit in front of him, facing him, and they make their usual decisions or anything it may be. They were united at the beginning. But as time went on, I was seeing some changes.
Tell us about them.
It happened sometime in 1995. One day I was, that time, Chief of Staff, and at the same time, overseeing the State Guard Command, as State Guard Commander.
So at this stage you had 2 responsibilities.
That's right.
Chief of Staff, State Guards Commander, correct?
That's right, because then there was no State Guard Commander, and I had to oversee as interim State Guard Commander, and had a deputy who was Ibrahim Abba. He later became a general. Ibrahim Abba then was a 001 or 002, warrant officer class 1 or 2 that time.
Proceed, please.
And one day I was called by Chairman Jame to his office. When I went in, it was around 1500 hours. I found him sitting in his chair, Edward Singate alone in the office, facing him.
What happened after that? Did they say anything to you?
Then Yaya Jammeh looked a bit furious and looked at me in the eyes and said, from now on, any council member who comes to the State House after 6 o'clock, give instructions to the guards to shoot and kill.
To shoot and kill who?
Any council member who comes to the State House after 6 o'clock in the evening, 1800 hours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Njai. Madam Chair, we have a minute or 2 minutes to the lunch break. Do I proceed with the questioning, or I leave it at that for commission members to ask clarifying questions?
Any? Okay, they want to wait till the end. We will wait till the end. You can continue.
Thank you very much. And you said, Jammeh said, from now onwards, any council member who visited State House after 6 p.m., give your men the command to shoot and kill. So you suggested that it was to shoot and kill that council member who visited after 6 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And that order was given to you as the interim commander of the State Guards, correct?
Correct.
What did you do with that order?
I went down and gave instructions that any council member who comes after 6 o'clock, tell him the president cannot see you, the chairman cannot see you. Come the following day and see him. Then I called the council members, others, that the president would not see anybody who has something to discuss with him after 6 o'clock. You would better leave it till the following day.
So these instructions were given to you, you said, in the presence of Edward Singate, right?
Edward Singate alone. That's why I was very suspicious of what was going on. Why in the presence of Edward Singate alone?
Did Edward say anything when those orders were being given to you?
He didn't talk to me.
So you went out and you advised, you gave an order to the members of the State Guard, but you modified the order, did you?
I did. I will never give instructions to kill.
Did Yaya Jammeh know that you modified the order?
He would not know. No, he didn't.
Madam Chair, it's 11:30. Time for our first break. Thank you.
Thank you, lead counsel. Thank you, witness. We will take a half-hour break and come back at 12. Thank you.